Hey everybody, it's Peter from Brantford Kia and welcome to our live video. So this one's going to be a little bit fun for me because we usually do things with a lot of options and we've kind of gone the other way today. So we're going to get into that in 1 second. But first of all, if you're just joining us live, I'm going to flip the camera around here. Or sorry, if you're joining us and we're not live, while we let the audience build for the first minute or so, I'll show you how to join us live. We don't need this page. What we need is this page right here. Okay, this is our YouTube page. You're probably on something like that. If you want to join us live, go to YouTube, search in the search bar there for Brantford Kia. And once you get to Brantford Kia, refresh our page exactly at 2 o'clock, which is right now. This used to work, and it used to be a live video right there. I don't think it will right now. It does not, that's fine. So go to the videos tab right there. And you will see our live video. On smartphones, it kind of works the same way. You may have to find, you may get notified or something like that, but click that live now video. That is us right now. And, oh good, no ad today. All right. So over here, what I'm gonna do is just blow up this section here. This is the comment section. If anybody wants to jump in and post a comment, feel free. And we will answer your questions. So what we do every day at 2 o'clock is we do a little live video. And we pick a car or two, sometimes three. We throw them in our live video bay here, which is almost finished its construction. You can see there's just some spots along the roof to finish. Anyways, we put a couple vehicles in here. We talk about them. We talk about some of the differences. We talk about maybe why you should buy one over the other and which one's best for what type of person. And we go from there. And you get to ask your questions. And as you're asking your questions, I can answer them and I can show you in real time. So every day at 2 o'clock, that's what we do. And today we're choosing two cars that should have almost no ratings. We've got the very bottom of the line. So I personally like both of these cars. And I mean, that shouldn't be a surprise to some of our regulars. I like all of our cars, but I like them for various reasons. Today I titled this video, Don't Buy a Kia Rio, Buy the Kia Forte instead. Here we go. We got some comments coming in, so I know that they work. Perfect. All right, so what I did is I titled this video, normally, like I said, normally what I try to do is I try to tell you to buy one car and not to, or why someone may want this car and someone may want that car. Today, I'm gonna take you through this car here, and then I'm gonna tell you not to buy it. At least not now, and this is the benefit of doing live videos. So live videos, when I post them online, of course, they will expire over time, but a lot of our videos that we do that aren't live, they basically, things I say may become less valid. But right now, the Kia Rio is a bad car to buy. The Kia Forte is an exceptionally good car to buy. So we're gonna take a look at what we have right now. There will come a time where you should buy the Rio instead of the Forte, and that's when we're gonna sell this car. But this car is not gonna go anywhere unless somebody really wants that car. So we're gonna talk about what that means, and we're gonna, first of all, show you what we're doing over here. We are comparing two different low-line cars. Let me just say, here we go. This is the Rio. Now, the Rio lineup comes in an LX manual transmission, an LX Plus manual transmission, and this LX Plus model. That's what we have right now. So we have an automatic transmission Kia Rio. You can see the MSRP is $18,245. Now, this is a very good car. It's actually a very good car for a very good price. The problem is we also have this car, the Kia Forte. Now, yesterday we talked about a Kia Forte. We mentioned there's 7 Kia Fortes. This is the base line. So I have an LX manual transmission. MT stands for manual transmission. You can see its price, $17,695. So the Forte is actually the less expensive car. Now, if you gave it an automatic transmission, it would have a higher MSRP, manufacturer's suggested retail price. The reason I'm going to tell you not to buy this car is because one of the main reasons to buy either of these cars is because you are a value shopper or a budget shopper. And really, this is a bad time to buy the Rio. That's why it should stay on our lot unless you really, really, really like it and you want to pay a little bit extra for it. Because right now, Kia is offering to make 6 months worth of your payments on that car. 6 months worth of Kia making your payments. That's not deferrals, but there's 6 months worth of payments, and there's really no quality programs on this car. So the Forte I have in the video bay here today is already less expensive as an MSRP. If you can drive manual transmission, it's a less expensive car. Now, there are a few features the Rio has that the Forte doesn't, but the Rio is a really good car, and we're going to talk about it because it deserves talking about. I just don't think that when you watch this video today that you should buy it. So here we go. We're going to take a look at the Rio. When the Rio came out, it was completely class leading. It was up against things like the Toyota Yaris, which was not a great car. these cars have always been about basic transportation, and this LX Plus model is far more advanced than just basic transportation. So you can see out front, got a sharp look here. A lot of cars in the base levels don't put any sort of contrasting trim, but you can see you've got that metallic look trim on the front there with that tiger nose grille. Nice looking grille, a sharp looking vehicle, I think. Some of you don't like hubcaps. I'm a fan of hubcaps on a budget vehicle. Now let me just explain why. The hubcaps on a budget vehicle, if you're thinking finances are your number one concern, hubcaps are great because in Canada, when you throw the winter tires on, you've got the same look to your vehicle. It doesn't look cheaper or anything else. Same look all year round, which I think is kind of a nice feature with hubcaps. And again, you're not buying, if you're buying this car, you're not buying everything flashy. So although I prefer alloy wheels, again, when you're making budgetary decisions over style decisions or top style decisions, it's a good thing. Rio's a good first or starter car. It's an excellent first or starter car. Actually, some of our boss's daughters both drove these cars for a little while back when they were brand new. They are excellent cars. It really is an excellent car. I like it a ton, but again, you should buy the Forte. So let's talk about why this is an excellent car. We're gonna hop in for a second. I'm gonna start with the driver's seat. I don't have to worry about forgetting the keys. A lot of my regulars will remind me to take keys, but I don't have to remember to take keys because I've left the keys in the ignition because these are not push-button start cars. You will notice you have a height-adjustable seat. That's what that big lever does. If I push it down, it pumps up. If I pull it up, it comes down, or the other way around, excuse me. Pulling it up brings it up, pushing it down goes down. So a height-adjustable seat, you can see you've got good bolsters in here, good comfortable seats. A lot of cars in this class in the past were known for making way undersized seats just because they could, I guess. I don't know. It helps with foot room, headroom kind of stats when you undersize the seats. So if the seat's a little smaller, you could say from the seat to the feet, you know, that kind of thing. So it's not really it's not something that you can do, but it is something, a way to play the specs. So we're gonna hop in the car now. Gonna get that beeping to stop. Don't know if you can hear that. Okay, we're gonna turn the car to on, but we're not gonna start it because we are inside. As we do that, you will see a lot of things going on here. The dash lights up. For a base car, this is a really good car. You can see in that center display, gear indicator up there. You've got your speedometer on the very top as well. You've got your range indicator. Now we will talk about powertrain. The Rio, when it first came out, had a different engine and different transmission. This year, 2020, this car drives way better. This new IVT transmission in this car, it really makes a difference in smoothing out. A lot of smaller economy cars are kind of herky-jerky in their shifts. This isn't that. It's way smoother in its shifts, great fuel efficiency, not a ton of power, but that's okay. It's got plenty to drive, 120 horsepower, multi-port injection instead of a gasoline direct injection engine now. All of that doesn't matter. You can see a very similar look to some of our other cars. And again, those warning lights are on simply because we've got the engine off but the car running. If at any point in this video I've earned your like, or anything in the vehicle has earned your like, make sure you hit that like button on this video, and hopefully I can earn your subscription as well in the next 20 minutes or so. All right, moving over here. You've got a screen display here. Now this is not our 8-inch display screen, but it's still a large display screen. So pretty good size display screen, plenty clear. It's close to the driver, so it shows well. And a couple little cool things about this stereo. I don't know if you can read that, but Sirius XM, you have satellite radio on this essentially base level car. You also have, of course, Bluetooth streaming as well. So not just a Bluetooth phone connection, but Bluetooth streaming as well. When you throw the car in reverse, you have that clear backup camera that we've talked about for a long time. A little bit smaller screen, a little bit more pixelated than our 8-inch screen, but very, very clear. I mean, you can see the lines in the floor. Again, when you're filming a screen, it's never as clear. And you can see when I'm filming it, there's a little bit of clarity loss, but it is very clear. You won't miss, like you'll see whatever you need to see. So good touchscreen system there. Coming down here, manual climate controls, that's what you expect to have. You do have a space to put your phone down here. It is rubberized padding, it's not plastic, so it holds your phone nicely in place. You got a 12-volt port on this side, nothing on this side. A lot of times our cars have an extra port on that side. This one doesn't, but USB port and 12-volt port, space to put your junk. And let's put the car in drive for a second so you can see this. This is something that people don't expect, and I'm trying to get the focus right. There you go. Rump roasters, heated seats, 3-level seat heating, which is kind of expected, but the heated steering wheel may not be expected by a lot of you. Heated steering wheel in this LX Plus Rio. Not something people expect. They had that in the Forte in 2019. They took it away in the base level Forte. So if you want a heated steering wheel in a base level car, Rio's your car. Sport modes, in other words, it has two driving modes, normal and sport. Normal is an economical mode, and of course that seat there as well has, the extra seating position here has heated seats. All right, so when we talk about, yeah, features you don't see in a Yaris, exactly. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pop this way. Now that it has this IVT transmission, you can choose from 8 different ratios. So if you want to drive a little athletically, you throw it in sport mode, you choose your own gears. It's actually pretty fun to drive. And those, if you've never heard somebody say the term, it's fun to drive a slow car fast, it's more fun to drive a slow car fast than a fast car slow, that's 100% true. This car isn't slow, but with only 120 horsepower, you can work it through the gears, or the gear ratios if you do that. You can really have some fun. So again, if it doesn't earn your likes for the heated steering wheel, hopefully it can earn it as sort of a fun to drive little small car. And it is a fun to drive car. It handles quite well. It's quite fun. You've got nice trim across the dash here, nice kind of look across there. And over on the side, you do have the plastic armrests and stuff there. So easy to clean, not quite as soft as some of the other cars, but it's still a very good car. One thing I will say, the seats in this car are excellent, especially for a small car where the seats are traditionally bad. They're excellent. You do have steering wheel controls for cruise control. You do have steering wheel controls for your Bluetooth controls. You also have automatic headlights. If this is your first car, sometimes when the dash lights up, we forget to turn on our headlights. Our old cars, when we all learned to drive, when I learned to drive, I'm 40 years old. When I learned to drive, all of the dash lights would stay off until your headlights were on. On a modern car, they don't always do that. So having the auto setting is very good for newer drivers. And yeah, basic transportation. We've got power windows, power locks, a really good car. Nothing wrong with this car. Heated steering wheel, heated seats are nice touches, good space. All right, let's turn it off for a second. We'll show you the keys later, we'll show you the lighting later. Now again, I'm gonna take you into a manual transmission car that, forgetting any deals we have, this vehicle here, the Forte, is actually less expensive than the Rio because it is a manual transmission. So again, not saying you wanna drive manual transmission, just kind of an interesting feature here. $17,695 is your MSRP on this car. So one thing you're not going to get in here, no satellite radio, no heated steering wheel either. So those are two things you move down from. Again, you're saving a little bit of money right now, but you're going to gain a lot of other kind of cool things. And if you're someone like me, this is what you're going to gain most. Let's turn the key on. So again, base level Forte. This is our volume seller model Forte over the Rio for sure. In the base level Forte, you end up with this little feature right here. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. I was talking to someone who has a 2020 Toyota Corolla, and they don't have Android Auto in their car. They have Android phones, they don't have Android Auto. In a 2020 Corolla that's loaded all up, and they don't have Android Auto. So base level car, I'm not saying base level, it's cheaper than the Rio I just showed you as far as MSRP. You can get Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. Why is that important? Well, in this base level car, you get navigation. A lot of us who are younger still want to do road trips, and we don't read maps anymore. I mean, I used to work at a gas station when I was younger. People stopped at the gas station to get directions. Nobody does that. You use your phone. Now you can use your phone safely for directions. So across the dash, same type of thing. Cruise control over here, Bluetooth controls over there. The dash looks very, very similar. Now you don't have a digital speedometer readout. You've got a little bit clearer display here. This is the same display we use basically in the Seltos, in obviously the Forte, I mean now several other trim levels of the Forte as well. Right up actually to the top level Forte, same display. So same information there. Ignore that 11.4 liters per 100 kilometers. Obviously cars idle at a dealership. They read worse fuel efficiency. But you do get that feature. And in my mind, sacrificing satellite radio for Android Auto and Apple CarPlay makes sense in a base car. I don't think a lot of base level vehicle buyers are spending the money on the subscription for satellite radio. And of course, there's no subscription for Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. If you have a phone, a smartphone that has those features, you get that. So kind of a smart thing down here or over there. Moving down, same thing, manual climate control, same basic idea exactly. Same basic idea here. Spot to put your phone, spot to put your other devices. You do in this car have an extra 12-volt port up in the front there, USB ports as well. And that USB port in the center is where you would connect for Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. Down here, what I like to call the manual transmission. This is the fun way to drive. If you can still drive this way, you can still get cars this way. A lot of fun. If you can't, you can get this with an automatic, same car, or same basic car. Rump roasters are still here, heated seats, but you do not get that heated steering wheel. You used to in 2019, you don't in 2020. Peter, does a higher trim Rio have LED lights or just daytime running lights? Good question. It used to have LED lights. One thing I was just going to check right before 2 o'clock was what is the top trim right now in the Rio, and I'll be very honest, I didn't get to check that because we don't stock it simply because the programs are not there on the Rio. So we'll double check that in a second. I'll come across that. Now I mentioned when we scrolled across the door, some nice trim bits in the Rio. Here's another reason to move to the Forte. See that armrest there? That is soft touch. Maybe I can show you. Right there, soft touch. On the Rio, it's plastic. Another good reason to buy this car. This car is going to be a little bit more of a comfortable car on a very long trip. A little bit longer, a little bit heavier. The fuel efficiency is still going to be very good in both these cars. And actually, the manual transmission is the lesser of the two efficiency options. So, used to be you buy a manual transmission to get better fuel efficiency. Now, the automatic transmissions, the IVT in particular, is really, really good for fuel efficiency. So, kind of a couple differences. And again, when Kia came to Canada, they were known as a value brand. You bought a Kia because the list price was cheaper than something like Honda or Toyota. That's what happened when Kia came. They didn't have nice options, they weren't nice cars, but they were cheaper. If you're still thinking, hey, I want to buy a cheaper car, Rio might make sense, the Forte might make sense, but Kia's base level cars are no longer base level cars. One thing I'm going to show you, actually, I'm going to jump through the questions just because we're about 15 minutes in. We're going to go about a half an hour or so today. We won't go too much longer, I don't think, unless you have questions, and then I'll stay on if you want me to. Whoa, I just walked into my table there. Don't worry, I didn't drop anything. There was a time I dropped the camera. That was not ideal. All right, let me set this down here. We'll look at the Rio for a second. Let me just jump to your questions and see if I have missed anything. Okay, I don't think we missed a lot. Somebody wrote, Forte is a poor man's Porsche. Okay. Maybe not this one. Okay, does a higher trim level have LED lights? You know what, I'm going to really quickly check out that. I think they changed the trims, and I don't think it does anymore, but we will quickly double check. Easiest way for me to check is right here. Highest trim is the EX Sport. Oh yes, it probably would. Let me just double check. Yes, LED taillights. And I believe they have LED headlights as well. Yes. So EX and above have the LED marker lights, but not LED headlights on the Rio. So to answer that question, hopefully that helps. I'll talk about the lighting in a second and I'll make more sense of that. And let me just jump back to see if there's anything else I missed. I think we're good. Okay, so we're gonna talk space on these two cars, vehicle space. Again, nothing wrong with buying this. I prefer hatchback cars, and honestly, this is a car I would have bought, but again, the live video allows me to tell you not to buy the Rio right now because that Forte. Again, if you're just joining us, the Forte has 6 months worth of Kia making your payments right now. This is June 2020, part of the COVID deals that these manufacturers come up with. Nobody has come through more than Kia Canada. Really, no manufacturer is doing more than Kia Canada. And that's where it's 6 months worth of payments on the Kia Forte, where we don't really have great programs on this car. There will come a time where this Rio is the better deal, and we will sell this car then. You'll have a tough time getting this car from us without us suggesting this car right now. All right, deals last until the end of June. Yes, the deals as of now last till the end of June. Now, a lot of you remember me on camera saying that these deals are not gonna last into June. We begged Kia, apparently is the story, and Kia gave in and said, yes, you're right, we can do this, and that's why they're still here in June. All right, those of you looking for Teddy. Those of you that are just joining us, I use Teddy to measure trunk space. Teddy's a little bit cramped for length today, but he's pretty comfortable in there. I always put his belly against the back seat, and I put his, we'll see how much space he has. I would say a little bit more floor length. No, probably similar floor length to the Soul, maybe a little bit. He is a little snug in there. He looks so snug. Yeah, he is a little snug in there. Teddy's a pretty big teddy bear, and he's not probably the most comfortable in there, but again, there's something cool that you can do with the Rio. And I wasn't planning on doing this, but let's just try. Can I do this with one hand? Yes, I can. Nope, I can't. Oh, I can. Let's see if we can take this out. We're gonna take this panel out. We're gonna take this off. This is the benefit of a hatchback, and you'll have to excuse me, it's easier to do with my right hand, but my right hand's on the camera. We're gonna take that panel out for a second. I'll make sure I don't step on it, because that would not be ideal. Sorry about your terrible view there. All right, so hatchbacks. I do have some floor mats in the seat, so this isn't gonna fold as flat as it could, or the seat is too far back. Let's move that for a second too. This passenger seat in particular is a long ways back. I'll see about moving that driver's seat as well, just to be sure. All right, driver's seat's a little forward. just those headrests that are hitting when I threw them down. And again, smaller car, you can sometimes play with that. So again, those seats will fold a little bit flatter without those floor mats. I have the floor mats for this car underneath or between the bottom and the seat top. Now, when we talk about Teddy, Teddy's probably close to 5 feet tall. You can see he's got plenty of room. And again, that big opening here means that on a hatchback, you can take lots of stuff. You can't do that with a Forte unless you get the Forte 5. Then you're into a little bit bigger car and certainly a more expensive car. All right, let's take Teddy over here. I'm gonna pop the trunk on the Forte. Now yesterday, if you guys were watching, you saw the Forte, so Forte and Optima we compared. Now I'm going Forte to Rio. Teddy fits in this trunk quite nicely. Big thing about cars over SUVs, especially sedans, we talked about this yesterday, you have a very long floor. So I always put Teddy's belly against the back of the seat, and you can see around the back, he's a little squished. His one side leg is a little squished, but you can see floor space. When I look straight down from the trunk, you don't see Teddy's belly at all. He's already hidden, so you've got all this extra space. If you're looking for a lot of floor space in your trunk, a lot of SUVs have more trunk space because the cargo space is good when you stack things high. If you're taking your groceries home, you're probably not stacking your eggs and your lettuce and everything stacked really high, and you're looking for floor space. If you do look for floor space, the Forte is the way to go. It's got a lot of trunk space, class-leading trunk, and we'll shut him in there. Somebody remind me Teddy's in there because tomorrow I'll be looking for him. Rear seat space is going to be Advantage Forte as well. Nothing wrong with the Rio. You can fit adults in there, but if you're going to go a long trip, you could go on a long trip with 4 people in the Forte. The 5th person can tag along for a trip for an hour or so, but they're going to be a little less comfortable. So a little bit more space in the Forte, and I'll show you the Rio here. We'll put the seats back up for a second. If I can grab, nope, I have to go around this way. So, in fact, we'll jump in real quick for a second. We'll show you headroom and legroom in the Rio. Let's put the driver's seat where I had it to drive, and we'll see how much real seat space I have. Real world test here. Foot's flat on the dead pedal. I'm comfortable to drive. The steering wheel is tilt and telescopic on this car. Just tilt. Just tilt on the EX or the LX Plus. All right, seat is where I need it, and I am going to be tighter back here. It's a small car. It's a small car for a reason, but you're going to be surprised at how well I fit. Easy to get into, big opening, wide opening doors. All right, let me show you headroom. We'll flip the camera around. You get to see my lack of haircut. Hopefully I'll get one soon. All right, pretty good headroom. A lot of small SUVs I don't fit in. Now I'm in a small compact car, subcompact car, and I've got good headroom. Where I'm going to sacrifice compared to Kia standards is right here in the legroom. My legs are fairly comfortable on the seat here, but I only have finger width of space between a soft seat. So I've got room, I could certainly stretch my legs out, but it is a soft seat. And I think the reason they do not the plastic carbon that you see in the rest of our seats is just to give you that little bit extra comfort, a little bit of space there. So again, tight for legroom, that's okay. There is a USB port back here for your friends in the floor there, but I do fit and I have the headroom. Headroom is most important because you can't kink your neck. You can always spread your legs a little bit. Let's do the same thing here. I'll get the seat set exactly to where I need it so we're apples to apples comparison. Leather wrapped steering wheel in both these cars as well, which is kind of something you don't always expect. Forte seat, I actually had a long ways back. There we go, clutch comfortably to the floor. Yep, that's what I need for space. Okay, now you'll hop in and you'll see a big difference here. Again, this is a less expensive car. Forte's awesome. Wow, USB port? Yeah, that is kind of surprising because this car doesn't have it. All right, you can see the roof line kind of comes up around my head. Probably similar headroom to that car, maybe a little bit more here. Certainly a wider car here. Flipping down to my legs. Here's the big difference. I had a finger width of space in the Rio. I've got a lot more here. So again, tons more legroom. And again, you can take more friends more comfortably. Now, if they have to charge their devices back there, they're out of luck. No USB port back here. Of course, you do have the extra 12-volt ports up front. And again, that's just this trim level. So again, why am I saying don't buy the Rio? Not because I don't think it's a good car. I think it's a great car. That new transmission and engine combination makes this car very smooth to drive. It's excellent for fuel efficiency. It's a comfortable car. It's very class competitive. Do these cars have 5-star crash ratings? Yes, they do. So the Rio sedan, I did a video a while back. It's a red Rio sedan. It actually got, now this is when it was newer, so the first year or so, it actually got the top small, like subcompact safety rating in the class. So it was the, nobody bested the Rio for subcompact safety. And it's a 5-star safety rating. Now, collision avoidance stuff, that's where you get into the complications of top safety pick plus, those kinds of things. It does not have the collision avoidance things at this trim level, and frankly, neither does the Rio. It doesn't have the autonomous emergency braking, those kinds of things. You can get those in the Rio. I don't believe you can get those in the, or sorry, you can get those in the Forte. I don't believe you can get those in the Rio. So that's where safety is headed, not just crash tests, but top safety picks. And again, both of these cars have those superstructure type things, those ultra high strength steel. So you're getting a very safe car either way. But those collision avoidance systems are not at this price point. And that's okay. I think people understand what they're getting. These are really alternatives to used cars. You get great warranties on these cars. Sorry, what was I just saying about the two? Yeah, the Rio being a class-leading car. This one here, when we talk about class-leading cars, the Forte, when it came out in 2019, won Canadian Small Car of the Year, and it was a finalist for the overall Car of the Year, losing to the Kia Stinger. So when it came out, really top quality car, top of its class, and still is, and I think still is for good reasons. So again, good reasons to buy that car. All right, 26 minutes in. Let me just double check. If at any point I've earned your like today, I'd love if you could just hit that like on the video. My bosses like to see that. I like to see that people are engaged in these videos and that they're liking it. Let me just jump up. Okay, was also an IIH. Yes, Albert, I'm not sure what your sentence is, but it was also an IIHS ratings too. It was also good in those ratings. I think you're really saying. Okay, we talked about Teddy, talked about trunk space. Okay, and we talked about the deals. Are these good for going kind of fast? Okay, neither car is going to be a fast car. However, the sport mode in both cars is kind of like chipping the cars. Holds the revs a little higher, makes the throttle a little touchier. I personally like driving standard. Automatic transmissions are fun, but the standard actually is pretty fun. It is a 6-speed standard transmission, so if you can drive that, it's fun. That being said, that IVT transmission is pretty lively. These cars had less horsepower, like the Forte had less horsepower than its predecessor, and it was actually faster with that IVT transmission. I would assume we had a Forte in the past with 132 horsepower. This has 120 horsepower. I would also assume that this car is faster than that car. Just because that IVT transmission really brings things to life. It's got good low-end torque. You can multiply torque with engines and transmissions. And so are they fast? No, they're not fast. Are they fun? Yes. Are they fuel efficient? Very. Real-world fuel efficiency in the Forte is phenomenal. I have not taken the Rio on an extended drive since it got the new engine and transmission, but I know from experience with that transmission, I've always been able to exceed the mileage limits or mileage numbers in both these cars. I would expect I would do quite well in the Rio as well. So again, what are you looking at? Compared to a used car, you can get full warranty, reliability, those kinds of things. But you're also into a newer car that will last. Both these cars have, like we said, good safety ratings and just even low cost. So when we're talking about cost of ownership, one of the things that you can have is tires. Sometimes the higher profile tires, they get a little bit more expensive. Rio tires are very inexpensive. Sorry, I'm going to read that question again. Recommended these cars for daily driving or an SUV. Okay, so why would you buy these cars for daily driving? First of all, daily driving, if you're doing around town, you're not doing a ton of crazy highway trips. Could you go across the country in this? Yes, I had friends that went across the country in like a 1993 Toyota Tercel. That's a terrible car to go across the country in, but they did it. I would go across the country in either of these cars, but I would definitely choose the Forte if I had to choose. The Forte is a car that suits every one of my needs. Even though I am a SUV person, I like the Seltos better than the Forte right now. That being said, the Forte GT is pretty cool. The Seltos to me really appeals, but this car is about half the price of a top-end Seltos, and you have all the basics there. Heated seats, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, great fuel efficiency. So that really appeals to me on that car. This car, like Kia Canada, I've kind of given up on it a little bit right now, just because that car is so good. This car, when it came out, was great. And like I said, there will be a time where the Rio is on a great deal. It's the time to buy it. Just that time's not today. So daily driving, either of these would be good. If parking is tight, the Rio hatchback here is a smaller car. It is shorter. Both cars are easy to park, but if you have a small parking spot, I would say Rio is something worth considering. Let me see, 0 to 60 in 6.8 seconds, somebody says. Oh, that's not it, the Forte GT, yeah. So what kind of future is there for the Rio? That's a good question. I haven't heard of a refresh for the Rio. Keep in mind there is in the world a smaller car than the Rio in Kia's lineup, and that will never come here. So it'll be interesting to see what Kia does. The Rio used to be very, very popular with us. We used to see a number of them, sell a number of them. This car came out, and again, it did very well initially. Then they revamped the Forte and also kept the Forte price. Yeah, Kia Picato is the other car, exactly. The other car that's smaller than the Rio. But the Forte came out and basically killed the Rio because it's priced so close. The fuel efficiency's there. It is a bigger, more comfortable car. Yeah, I'll show you the keys, no problem. So future for the Rio in Canada is a very good question. I'm not sure. I wonder if they'll do some sort of crossover type thing. That's a possibility in this segment where you have a small crossover as an alternative to the Forte with maybe a similar engine transmission. That's been done in other vehicles, so that's an option. I'm just getting the keys out of both cars because you asked, and we're also going to show the lights in a second, and then we'll wrap it up. But yeah, future of the Rio, I really don't know. I haven't asked, and it's not certainly something that's mentioned regularly as far as what's coming. Okay, let me just show you the keys real quick. So the Rio has the older style key. The Forte is the newer style key. Nothing wrong with either one. You have the same style key on several of our Sorrentos right now. What you do have on the Sorrentos on some of them is a more of a chrome style buttons there, but nothing wrong with these. When you hold this button on the Rio, it does not pop the trunk, it unlocks just the trunk. So don't hold that button, set the keys in the trunk and shut the trunk, that could be a problem. But that's the Rio key, jackknife style key on both these cars. Now, jackknife style key, if you see the key blade the way it's facing there, it's sort of parallel with the key here. Now over here, oh, actually, it's the same thing. Excuse me, I was wrong. But so different style key here. Instead of the buttons on the front, the buttons are on the side now. Holding this button will pop the trunk, which I'm going to do right now, because that'll remind me to get Teddy out of there. On a hatch or on a sedan, it does come up like that. Now there is a Rio sedan. That car to me is even more dead in Kia's lineup than the Forte, just because that sedan. One of the reasons to go with this Rio is it's a little smaller. You do have the hatchback, which can be practical for people. Sedan has a huge trunk, the sedan Rio, but the Forte is just right there for pricing and everything else. All right, let me just jump to your questions. Cold seats on a Picanto? Yeah. There's a lot of options on cars. It just depends. So what they have in cars in the world is different than what they have in cars in Canada sometimes. So LED lights, parking sensors. Oh yeah, so yeah, they can load up those smaller cars. Where smaller cars sell is a good thing, but in North America, bigger cars sell. I'll show you the lights real quick. LED lights are available on the Rio. When you get an LED light on the top level, you have a U-shaped LED light and a projector beam headlight in the middle. This trim level does not have the projector beam headlight. Nothing wrong with these lights. They're just, standard lights. The Forte does have projector beam headlights. And in case you're wanting to know the difference, when I say projector beam, basically it is a little like projector bulb in there. You can see sort of rounded area. That's what you're looking for real sharp cutoff, real focused light. That's the more upper end light. And then when you move up or end on this car, you also get this in an LED light. So real quickly, we'll show the lights, and I think we're gonna wrap this video up. Got some fun stuff planned for tomorrow, but I had to get some lower end cars in today. All right, let's just turn the key to on, turn the lighting system to on, and we'll do the same thing with the Rio, and we'll walk around the lighting. And then if you have any questions and I've missed them, feel free to ask them now. If I haven't earned your like at this point, or maybe I have earned it, you just forgot to hit that like button, do me a favor, hit that like button. If there's something you want to see, let me know in the comments as well. And we are planning for tomorrow's videos, and this week I've got one video I want to do for sure this week, but I'm willing to take your suggestions as always. Lighting out front, little marker light right there, which is not showing great on camera. Regular headlights. Now here's what I want to show you. You scroll down here, you'll see they're plenty bright, but see how there's not an exact line, it just kind of comes brighter. Now let's show you over here with the projector beam headlight. Coming down on this, a little bit brighter, oops, not in the focus area. A little bit brighter, it right away gets bright. So when it right away gets bright like that, it has a little sharper cutoff line. So there we go. Seltos versus Telluride, somebody asked if I've done that. I actually did. I said why the Seltos is better than the Telluride. And last month, that was one of our top performing videos. I think we got about 16,000 views on that one. I said the Seltos is better than Telluride. And there are some reasons it is better than Telluride. I'm not saying that the Seltos is a better vehicle, but there are some features in the Seltos that are better than the Telluride. Here's the lighting back here. Again, even though they're base model vehicles, a lot of base model vehicles would have a little circle there. They fill in the light, they've got some pattern to them, and they come right across. In the camera, that looks a little less balanced. It's a little more even on real life. Signal lights on the Forte are down here. Rio is over here. All right, I'm just gonna double check the questions and comments. I wanna thank you for joining us today for the lower end vehicles. If I missed your question, feel free to ask it again right now. Too many great videos to keep up. Oh, that's true. Okay, I think I got them all. Could you do a Stinger versus Optima by any chance? I could. To me, the Stinger and Optima are very different cars. Until we get the new Optima, I don't know that I'll do that video, just because people don't cross-shop those cars anymore. The Optima SX Turbo is no longer, so that's a great question, but the top line Optima that was really sort of a base level Stinger in some ways, that car doesn't exist anymore, so they're very different cars now. So I probably won't do that. And the other thing is right now, we sold our last Stinger just the other day, so we don't have one in stock. I can get one. We'll get one again soon, I'm sure. But right now, we'll not do that. In Canada, the Optima is bad. No, I like the Optima. It's just a smaller market car. Nothing wrong with being a smaller market car. Some people think it's a really good car for them, and that makes sense. Is it bad in 2020, but in 2019 it was great? Oh, we're talking about Optima? No, you know what? The Optima, I think Kia did the right thing. So here's the thing with carrying a huge number of cars. Kia has to put their dollars into somewhere. Kia dealers have to put their dollars into somewhere. So if the Optima is not a huge seller, bringing it down to the 2 trim lines that sell and selling a few less of them is fine. And that gives you money for things like the Celtos to sit on the lot. So we have more Celtos on the lot because we have less Optimas. And I think that makes some sense. If I missed your question, go ahead and ask it. I think we've got everything there. 2021 will be awesomer. So that is the Optima we're talking about. All right, tomorrow we're gonna do a fun video. I think I have something planned. I don't know if it'll be fun, but fun car is what I mean. And we'll just leave it at that. So I wanna thank everyone for joining us. We will see you again tomorrow. Join us every day at 2 o'clock live. And like I said, I appreciate every single one of you for joining us. We will talk to you soon.